Oh yeah, 72 dB, that's pretty loud. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to quiet this garage door, and probably yours too. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so I just wanted to take a quick second here to show you what kind of oil I used for this job. I wound up using this silicone-based 3-in-1 garage door lube right here. This stuff did work pretty good. There's also a lot more options available at your local hardware store that are specifically made for garage doors. You just want to make sure and not use the regular blend WD-40. Now, WD-40 does make some garage door lube. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the regular WD-40 that everybody likes to use for, for almost anything. And also, I wanted to make sure that you know to get one that has the straw right here. That way you can pinpoint the location of the lube and get into all those little nooks and crannies that are going to be hard to get to without that. You'll want to wear some safety glasses and gloves for this job. This does get a little bit messy. On another note, I did want to mention that this stuff here that I use, this 3-in-1, it did leave a pretty foul smell in the garage for a good 24 hours, maybe even longer than that. So be prepared for that, but it did wind up dissipating on me, so it wasn't really a problem. Okay, back to the video. Alright, so the first thing I would do is go ahead and tighten up all your hinges. Now these happen to use a 3/8 socket, but yours may be different. These don't need to be super tight, just good and snug is good enough on those. Then I would look around for any other bolts like this that might need tightening. Any kind of a loose bolt can be a source of noise. And make sure you do all the hinges, not to forget any. Alright, so we're going to use that spray that I was talking about a minute ago to go ahead and lubricate the hinges. Just use the straw that it comes with to try to get into any little nooks and crannies that it might have, and you can wipe off any extra that might fall down or get on the door. I like to do both sides of the hinge and, kind of wherever there's movement, that's where I like to put the oil at. Alright. Just go ahead and get the whole thing right there. Get it real good. Don't be afraid to use too much lubrication. So let's go ahead and do some rollers. I usually like to look for any kind of gaps like that. That doesn't fit real tight in there. And, depending on how the roller's sitting, there's usually going to be some kind of a gap that you can spray through. I like to do both sides like this. That way it gets all through the whole thing. Go ahead and give that axle a good spin. And the roller itself, on this particular one, it has little bearings in the end of it there. So I'm going to go ahead and spray those bearings. Now, if yours doesn't have any bearings, just go ahead and spray the center where the axle shaft goes through the middle of it, and then give it a good spin to get the lubrication going through. And don't forget about that, there's a hinge right there. Some of these hinges are dual purpose. Now, you might have a pulley like this on the end of your spring. It's got the lift cable on there. I like to lubricate the grooves themselves. And that does kind of help a little bit with friction or whatever, when the cable's going up and down. And on the other end of that, there's a bushing or a bearing right there. Just make sure and get that as well. Of course, there's another one like this on the other side that you don't want to miss either. Now we have a torsion spring right here. Now you'll want to lubricate the whole spring. Okay, I'm not adding a lot of lubricant right here because I've already done this one earlier. So you'll probably want to spray your spring a little better than that. The coils on this spring, they do rub together, and that rubbing can make noise. Go ahead and get the center support right there, and just kind of do the best you can to get in there. Now up here on the trolley, you'll want to get the point where it goes, it connects the door to the trolley. Just get that real good, and also get the point where it connects to the door as well. Just get the pins that go through. Now this one has a chain, and on the end of the chain there's a gear there. So go ahead and lubricate that gear and make sure it's spinning very nice and freely. Now obviously I've only done half the spring. You'll want to do both sides of the spring, and wherever there's two of this or two of that, go ahead and do both of them. Anything that moves is making noise. Now this one has a chain. Now this is, think of a bicycle chain, you don't need a whole lot of oil on there, but you do want to cover the whole chain. So just put a light coat on the whole length of the chain on both sides. And now if yours has a belt, you don't want to oil your belt. So go ahead and do the rail I usually get the top side of the rail like that, and you'll want to do the full length of that on both sides. Now, if yours has a belt, like I said, just lift that belt up out of the way. That way you can do the rail without contaminating the belt. One other thing that you might want to do is make sure that your rail is nice and clean, your track, and just take a paper towel and kind of go through there and wipe up any grit or grime or sand or whatever might have got in there. All right, you'll want to do the whole thing where the wheel rides there on that inside. And then when you get to the top, just close the door. That way you can get to the rest of the track. And of course, you'll want to do the other track as well on the other side. Look at that mess that came out of there. If you're finding any value in this video, please click that like button below and subscribe to this channel. I come out with videos like this as often as I can. Okay, so back to the video. Okay, so I haven't moved anything. I've got the mics in the same spot, the iPad in the same spot. Let's see if that made any difference. Yeah, I'd say that made a difference. It went from 72 peak to 59 peak, something like that, 12 dB. That's a pretty marked difference. Okay, so I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.